Hello to all you guys out there in YouTube land. Yes, it's me, DR, still here in this space, and while I wait for my my laptop to regress back to an older version of Windows that actually works, something that kind of popped into my head, and I thought this would be an ideal time to just get this on camera, is how YouTube has changed in the years that I've been on the site. I mean, looking back through my video collection, it's been a good 7-8 years. And I never thought I'd actually be on the platform for 7-8 years. I mean, I've taken breaks in between for various different reasons, but I never thought that I would be making videos and they would get better, worse, and I would still be on the platform and see this kind of change. I mean, I was just thinking about this very topic, that when I first joined YouTube, there were YouTube users like Phil Hellenes that were making incredible content, like amazing content. The non-stamp collector was regularly making videos. I think that's kind of, I don't want to say it's gone a wayside, but I haven't really seen many new uploads from non-stamp collector. I might be wrong. I might not have turned on the bell. We've seen additions like the bell, that when you sub to someone, you don't actually sub, you don't subscribe. You have to subscribe and then click for notifications to get regular notifications on their videos. How the YouTube algorithm has changed constantly to benefit the bigger YouTube channels. And when I say bigger YouTube channels, I mean bigger YouTube invested channels where people, quote unquote people, corporations, can invest the money in dedicated teams to make content day after day after day. But it was also kind of led us through the React channels, because that type of content was easy to make day after day. Same with gaming channels, because it's easier. I'm not going to say it's totally easy, but easier to make gaming videos where you sit down and record your session on hours on end, and then upload that to YouTube. You don't really have to edit it. You don't really have to do much kind of post-production. There's no pre-production work, because you're essentially gaming, so you're not really scripting anything. So, and I think it's ironic, because my content is probably the laziest content out of the lot. I mean, I hardly do anything in terms of getting content on YouTube. Sometimes I just record it on my phone from where I am. So pot is not calling the kettle black in the slightest, but it seems that it amazes me about this progression. The fact the channels that I watched that were commenting about religion have kind of moved quite drastically to social justice, and now social justice is the new YouTube Christianity in my head. From what I can see, it's quite weird, and that move maybe is an indictment of the time, the new enemy. But some of the same issues are pervasive. The fact that, and I'm not holding myself up as the bastion of all knowledge or reason, but it's weird how people don't have a real it seems that people have started from a position and are finding reasons for their arguments in general. Now, there are people that don't do that. It's no secret I'm a big fan of Noel Plum. I love Noel Plum's content. I can watch Noel Plum's content without kind of sitting there going, some of the other YouTubers, and I don't want to say people's names because it's not fair, but some of the other YouTube creators that I've seen and I watch sometimes don't seem to do that. Now, I know there's a whole culture of say who you, but I don't have a problem per se with what they're doing. I just think it's lazy content, and that's something about 2 weeks ago, or maybe it was last week actually. I watched a video, and this video it was making. Well, it wasn't making that many points, but it was just lazily made. I mean, it was it was ad hominems, which is nothing wrong with ad hominems, but it was just ad hominems, a couple of stats thrown in, and that was the content. And it seemed, that it was hitting that 10-minute mark to throw in as many videos, advertisements as possible. Sorry, and it was, I don't know, it just felt. I felt like, what is this? What YouTube has? Is this what YouTube is becoming? Is this where it's going? It started off being the place where people could make great content and could make it once per month, even though it was, it was in their spare time. But there seemed to be more thought-provoking content. Now, this is obviously anecdotal feedback. I've got no data, no stats, but it just feels that way. And maybe it is YouTube's algorithms pushing that way. Maybe it's the fact that YouTube is now a business. YouTube, you can make a living on YouTube, and therefore it's pushing more people down that YouTube route. The algorithms are forcing people to make content on a more regular basis, which in turn means that the content can't be fact-checked as much if you want to, your living is based off of YouTube. People's channels mean more to them because their livelihoods are based on the channel and it existing and it having views. So there's a constant, it's almost like, the push in the tabloid newspapers has happened on YouTube, that we've been almost forced down that let's entertain route because that's the way we keep views. And if we can inform as a side shoot of entertainment, then that's great. But lots of people are kind of forgetting the information part because they're driven to make content. Now, I think this is a really worrying concern. But then that's kind of how the free model goes. I was listening to a podcast recently where they talked about the free model and how that if something is quote unquote free, there's always going to be some paymaster somewhere. So it's either not going to last or it's going to have to find an alternative funding stream, especially if you want consistent content in whatever work out. So this was talking primarily about Evernote, which I'm a big fan of. And if you haven't seen Evernote, Evernote is an app, piece of software, application that enables you to load content, so load notes, attachments, and so on and so forth, and share them across multiple devices. Really useful, especially for productivity. But they've gone down the pay route, and it's a good thing they've gone down that pay subscription route because it means that they're going to still be there. There's a funding stream to look after and maintain this product. Now, when I think about YouTube, what I think most people have forgotten is the funding stream that pays for this content, this product, isn't us. We don't put money into YouTube. What happens is, the paymasters, the advertisers, they're the ones that kind of fund the YouTube model. We make content that allows people to come on. And there was a whole conversation about this probably about a year and a half ago, about the fact that YouTube needs to look after us because we make the content. But that's not strictly true anymore with corporations coming in and making content. That's not strictly true, because if all of the standard users left YouTube, there would still be, and from a content creator standpoint, there would still be corporations making content on YouTube. So it's not the case that us, the creators of content, are driving YouTube. And YouTube is aware of this model, so they're supporting, either directly or indirectly, the people that fund them. And that's the core element of all of this. And I think that model has driven us to the place we are, where content is almost becoming quite lazily created just because of the pressures of being on YouTube. So for me, I don't know, I just kind of wanted to get this out there. It's just, I don't think this video even has a purpose. I mean, if I was going to say a purpose in terms of communicating to you, I want to know what you guys think. What are the underlying drivers behind YouTube? Why have we seen this movement away from it? Do you think I'm onto something? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? I'm just really keen to understand. And also, what models should we put in place to help stem this? I mean, YouTube Red is potentially an idea where you donate to that content creator. I know this offshoot of all of this is people found their own way. Things like Patreon, and I'm really keen to promote the use of Patreon for users who make great content. It's a way of directly contributing to that person. But what other mechanisms could we do? What other mechanisms would YouTube create? I mean, where's the driving force for them to create that content? I mean, the underarching reason I've heard most of the time is if all the creators left, they'd have no one on YouTube. But actually, as I said, that's not strictly true, because the corporations who fund various different YouTube studios wouldn't go anywhere. They'd still be able to make content. They would just find new people to do it. Also, I can't ever envision a situation where everybody would leave YouTube. It's a bit like, you know, when there was the taxi cab strike and Uber stepped across the line. There will always be an Uber, be it a Keemstar or a SoFlo Antonio or whatever, whoever these people are, or a React channel. There would be people stepping over lines. So you never get to a stage where people would just go, that's not feasible. So what would YouTube replace? What would YouTube's alternative be to help the great content stay on YouTube, help the great educational content stay on YouTube? Because I don't think YouTube have a moral obligation. Well, okay, I don't think YouTube have a legal obligation, but they, as I said, they might have a moral obligation to help and support the YouTube channels they have. I mean, it just might be good business to keep everybody or the majority of people happy. What do you guys think? Anyway, this is DR. Bit more thoughtful video than I normally make, but this is DR saying, you guys tell me, give me some ideas in the comments. I'm keen to, even with the small, very small, isolated group of people that watch my videos, I'm keen to get your insight. Anyway, this is DR saying, peace out, have a safe journey wherever you're heading, and yeah, let me know. I'm curious. I'm curious about what YouTube could do, what are the possibilities, what content creators could do outside of the kind of normal things they have, like Patreon, etc, etc. So I'm keen to understand your insight. Anyway, this is DR saying peace out, have a safe journey wherever you're heading. Bye!